Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too, because you're watching content like this. The name of this channel is Manifested Magic the Practical Way, because there are practicalities related to anything that we want to manifest, right? What I'm talking about today is this idea. It's not even an idea, it's something I was laughing about with my brother yesterday. He was talking about introverts, right? We're very introverted, but like, it has nothing to do with social anxiety. Like people always think, oh, well, maybe you should socialize more than you. I'm not shy, not remotely shy. I'm not nervous around people in any kind of way. I just prefer my own company because my own company is so authentic. I can just be me. So whenever I get around people who can mirror my authenticity, that is what I gravitate towards. I don't force myself into friendships and relationships where I have to overcompensate by being something that I'm not, because then that relationship is always going to be based on that. So we were laughing yesterday about introverts and how they see the world sometimes. And I was like, man, I look at everybody, he said, you watch the way they breathe. They're like, nah, he breathing wrong. I can't bring him into my life. And it was so funny because there's a little bit of that inside of me. And I know it's in him. It's like, what did I tell him? I said, we look at everybody as problem or solution, because that is pretty much what people are. Some of them are in a gray area when it relates to problem or solution, but there's usually, rarely there's people that's 50% of them is a problem based and then 50% of them is solution based. Usually people are much further into one area than they are in another area, right? Like if you have a solution based mindset, then that's kind of how you're going to approach a lot of things in your life. And so I was like, man, I do that. I think about people, I meet them, and I have conversations with them. I observe them because that's just what human beings do. And then I think in my head, problem or solution. Now, I don't know that I'm actively doing this, but when we were breaking it down, that is pretty much what you're doing. Asset or liability. And sometimes I got to put people through the ringer a little bit because if I'm going to let you deep, deep into my space, then I really need to know you're not a secret liability waiting to happen. And I'm not saying that people don't have issues and problems, but it's the way that people perceive their issues and problems, or they perceive their solutions, or they perceive whether there are solutions. It's like, where is their attention focused on? Is it focused on what they're creating and expanding and developing, or is it focused on what they don't have and what they didn't get and what who didn't give them what? Man, there's so many people I used to meet in my 20s and 30s. I'm thinking at 40 something, either I talk to less people or either I talk to less people or I am around different types of people, but I don't hear this whole thing very much with what my parents didn't give me. I'm like, come on, dude, around 40 is really not about what your parents didn't give you. It's just not. It's just not. The quicker you can drop that one, the faster your life is going to grow. Because you're like, dude, you get what you get when you come into this world. Either they had it or they didn't. Whatever that thing is you're looking for. And if they didn't have it, then you go out there and find it. But you don't whine about it every 5 seconds. And so when I run into people in environments like that, I'm just like, liability problem. It's a problem I ain't trying to solve. And so I've had to let people go in my life that were like that. I thought about the relationship and the friendship, and people don't realize I'm not like a ghoster. I don't just like think of, oh, so and so made me mad. I'm just going to let them out of my life. That's not the way my mind works. Generally, I'm always studying people. I'm always paying attention to their value and paying attention to the way that they see life. And the reason why I'm doing that, because I want to make sure that I'm not taking on some type of habit or mindset or way of seeing things that I'm not noticing. And if it's negative leaning, I really don't want to do that, right? So I have to tell myself, okay, what space have I been in lately that this is okay for conversation? It's usually something I can trace back to my feelings or my attitudes about things. But realizing that when you meet people, when you're in places or environments, or when you start to attach yourself to something, there's nothing wrong with going problem or solution. You're looking for a new job or a new place to go work at or something, go problem or solution, right? And this is all based on your perception. But sometimes your perception can't get outside of your level of development. So some things are more of a problem for you at different times in your life than it is at another time when you might have outgrown certain behaviors and attitudes, right? So what was a problem or a solution in your 20s won't be the same problem or solutions in your 30s. And definitely in my 40s, problem or solution is a whole different aspect that I'm looking for, right? But I will do that. I will honestly say I will do that. I meet people like if I'm in a work because you never know. You're in workspaces. That doesn't mean everybody is lame. There may be a couple of people like you running around in there that understand it's spirituality on a high level that understands emotional development. So you can't write everyone off. So I give myself always tell people if you're on a new job or something like that, or you're starting a new venture, or you're working in a group setting with people, or you're working on a project, give yourself 6 months before you do anything erratic. 6 months. And the reason why I say 6 months is because that's kind of like with relationships too. Every time I've had somebody in my life who was okay, but we really weren't a good match, but we had fun together and it was fun to go hang out and do things. It was usually around a 6 month mark where my thing went off and said, well, okay, what is this going to be? You're going to have it in your life or you're going to take it out, right? That's pretty much really a good thing for most things. So you're in these environments and you observe people for about a 6 months or whatever. Then you decide problem, 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 possible solution, but I don't know them quite well enough, but I'll keep on paying attention. And it's not anything wrong with that. Everybody should be doing that. We all should be doing that. We all should be thinking about whether or not allowing someone in your space is going to compact or compile upon negative things in your life, or will it will expand positive areas in your life. And that depends on where you are with your perception of other people and your own personal growth, and what are you mirroring out in the world. And then it also is some people really off kilter, and when you meet them you need to be okay with saying, I really like to help this person, I really like to have them in my space, but it's going to drain me too much to do this thing, right? And you got to be willing to have discernment and intuition to know. I recently had an issue with a vehicle, my truck. And so she's getting old now, but I so love the vehicle and I so love not paying a car note. And I'm just, I know how I am and I like really nice cars. So when it's time to replace her, I know that I'm going to have to put some energy and time into making sure I find the right one. And I like the one I'm in. So I make sure I take care of it. Um, I was at the mechanic shop and there's an issue that it's having. It's really glitchy, and I was telling the mechanic was looking at it, and immediately from the moment that I met him, the guy was at the shop. I was like, nah, he's not the one that can fix it, right? But I was still listening, and so my partner was listening to him, and he was just like, let me show you something. And it was one of those shops too where he was standing there, and so he was like, oh, sir, let me talk to you about your car. And I'm like, it's my car, but it's okay. So I stayed in the lobby while he took while they had a man meeting about the vehicle. And I know way more about the vehicle than most people do, but it's fine and dandy. But I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, like, I'm not getting my work done here. And then, but as time went on, he sent a quote and I thought the quote was quite high. And it's something I had to consider. I was like, "Ugh, how much work are you going to put into the vehicle? Are you willing to?" And I'm like, kind of, yeah, right? Because the issue it's having now didn't even come from the vehicle having wear and tear. It came from someone stealing my catalytic converters. So it's not even something that I would put a hit on her about it. But I know when a vehicle is getting worn down and it's starting to require too much. This is just a specific issue. And so I was thinking, do you want to put this time and energy into it? And so the guy came back with quotes. And so what I really was just like, girl, you're too far in your journey to do this. So I told my fiance, I was like, you know what? I don't want to get the work done by him. I said, my intuition's telling me this is the wrong place. And my feelings are saying, let's just do it because I'm tired of shopping around. And he seems like he's knowledgeable, I guess. But you see all of those things I had to release to get that done. I said, now I'm gonna go with my intuition. The intuition I had when we went to the first shop, and I still let them do the work. And I was like, I know when I'm somewhere where people get things, like I can tap into that, right? And so what I said was that I would get the work done if I felt honestly he could solve the problem of the check engine light coming off and on. And I'm like, if he can solve the problem, but I don't think he can solve it. And so you have to know it's okay to have that intuition and discernment, and you don't have to sit and keep on analyzing it. You know when you're working in your feelings, and you know when you're working into something just clicked, and I didn't like, you know what I mean? Because I think it's really apparent sometimes when you meet places and environments to know whether it's going to be beneficial to you or not, whether it's going to be a problem. And this is another one, mechanic shop. It was Jiffy Lube. I went to Jiffy Lube with my daughter, and the guy came up to the car. From the moment he walked up, I was like, shifty. And I didn't want to feel that way because I just wanted to get the oil changed and do the thing. But I know I have a special filter and I have to have certain kind of oil. So everybody doesn't always carry it. So I go to neighborhoods where I know people are frequently getting cars taken care of. like mine, and I go to them because I know that they know what they're doing with the vehicle, especially with her. With her, I don't know why I call her her. Especially with the vehicle agent, it's important to me to go to the right places. That's even more important then. So I was sitting there because having a bad vehicle it holds you up too much in life. So I was sitting there, and me and my daughter went in, and he came up and he immediately started going on about price, and I don't like that. Like, dude, if I'm coming here to get some work done, I already know what kind of vehicle I have. I know what it costs. I've been getting all changes for years. I'm clear. So he's just like, here's the price, and he's just like, you wanted that one's 99, this one's 79. What do you? I'm like, which one is better? And so that was the moment I was like, oh, this isn't going the right direction. And then so the car was parked, and he said, okay, leave it running. And it just seemed like it was going incredibly slow for like having a crew there, and it felt disjointed. So we sat in the lobby for a minute, and I was like, what is your intuition telling you? And I was like, let's go. And I was like, I'll take my car. I went outside, and he was like, thank you, have a nice day. And so I wound up going to the place what the sticker was from where I went Valvoline, and they were so perfect and professional. I didn't have to get out my car. They had like three people doing an all change at once. It was so systematic. I was in the system. So you have to know, last one, nail shop. Me and my daughter went into a nail shop that's close to where we are, but it was so ratchet. Like the people in there, they were lazy looking. They didn't seem like they were ready to do work. It smelled really funny. And I almost stayed. I'm like, no, we'll be back. We'll come back. We have to go do something. We'll come back. Right. And they were like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm never going there again. So you have to be okay with your discernment. And we went to a very nice nail shop and had an amazing experience. You have to be okay with your discernment and knowing when something is a problem or when something is a solution. So everybody you walk around to and every place you go to scan, go problem or solution. And don't be afraid. Problem or solution. It's fair and it makes sense. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.